Have you ever reacted like this playing games? Or maybe you haven't done it out loud, but you felt that in your head. On the surface, it's easy to dismiss this as simple salt and respond, "Get good." When I try to think a little deeper though, I see someone who's disappointed and frustrated. I see someone succumbing to resistance. I recently read the 2002 book, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and I think it has a lot of relevant information for competitors of any kind. In short, the book discusses forms of resistance faced by artists, entrepreneurs, athletes, basically anyone trying to accomplish their own personal goals. Resistance is basically different tricks your subconscious plays to get you to give up on difficult goals, because it wants you to conserve energy and stick with what is easy. I couldn't help but notice the applications it could have on playing Melee and competitive gaming in general. Mindset has been a priority of mine for a little over a year now, and the War of Art reintroduced concepts I've found myself, as well as giving me plenty more to think about. I've played competitive Melee for roughly 5 years, and I've both seen and dealt out my fair share of salt in that time. Some common phrases I've both heard and used have been, "My character can't deal with X option," "This stage invalidates my character," "This option is dumb," "I have to work so much harder for so much less," "I suck," and many, many others. In my case specifically as a Falcon main, I've struggled a lot dealing with Falco's Bear, Falco's Up Tilt, lasers, Fox Shine Spike, Falcon's recovery in general, him being combo food. If there's a downside you can think of for Falcon, I've complained about it. After a while though, I began to realize how much damage I was doing to myself. Every time I was in one of these situations, I only thought about how dumb or unfair it was, instead of what I could have done differently or why it happened in the first place. I realized I was focusing more on what I hated about these things than thinking about what I could actually do about them. The truth is though that Falcon can space around Falco Bear and Up Tilt, taking laser is the key to dealing with them, Foxes are probably reading you if they're getting Shine Spikes, and Falcon's recovery is, well, that one might actually be true. The point is though that despite all of these problems having very doable solutions, I let my feelings distract me and keep me from working on them. I was falling for resistance. Pressfield notes in his book that we'll face resistance in any act that rejects immediate gratification in favor of long-term growth. I've talked to my own counselor about motivation before, and she's used a metaphor that I think helps illustrate this point a bit. There's two sides to our brain, the higher human brain and the dumb monkey brain. The human side is logical, thinks long-term, and has complex desires that can take a lot of work. The monkey brain just wants the simple things: to survive, eat, find a mate, and conserve energy. It's this part of the brain resistance entices so hard and why we feel it in the first place. Resistance will convince the monkey brain that giving up is the best option, because getting what our human brain wants will take far too much work and energy. Part of this is resistance uses negative emotions like anger, frustration, and disappointment to get us to agree with the monkey brain's assessment. Think of it this way. Have you ever wondered why controller throwing has become such a staple of gaming? Take even a non-competitive game like Dark Souls. You've been grinding away at a boss fight for over an hour. You finally get close to winning, only to suddenly be killed yourself and sent back to the checkpoint to start over. Unaware to you, your monkey brain is the pilot right now and begins to do some math. Does it want to spend another hour on the boss, potentially doing some research? Experiment with other strats to maybe still not even beat them? Or does it want to use negative emotions to get you to give up and go take a nap? The monkey's choice is easy, and that's when you Brett Favre your controller across the room. Pressfield gives the quote, "There's a secret that real writers know that wannabe writers don't, and the secret is this. It's not the writing part that's hard. What's hard is sitting down to write. What keeps us from sitting down is resistance." I think the Melee equivalent would be something like, playing Melee isn't the hard part, playing more Melee is. The hard part is to keep coming back, to lose 9 times in a row and still hope that the 10th one will finally be the one you take. When you lose, it's a lot easier to take 10 seconds to decide to give up than it is to play another 10 hours. It might not actually be that hard to say you want to practice more day to day. It's during our lowest moments though when resistance is at its strongest, and that's when we actually need to remember to fight it. I can't think of a person who better exemplifies this than Zane. Zane is unfortunately somewhat infamous for being on the wrong side of incredible comebacks. Despite this though, he might actually be known even more for his unending work ethic.
Oh shit, that guy fucking plays every day. When Zane rolls up on you with 100 hours in a week, what do you think's gonna happen? Zane's gonna run wild.
How does he manage to keep trying so hard after such difficult losses?
Immediately after I lose, I've said this before somewhere, but I will watch the VOD of me losing immediately the day of, that I lost.
Okay.
And I watch it without thinking. I just watch myself lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to like rip off the emotional band-aid.
He reduces the loss's emotional impact on himself and then gets back to grinding. I think it's especially useful that he recognizes that he feels sad over the loss without letting it turn to anger towards the game. If you find yourself on the losing end of a particularly heartbreaking match and begin to think you want to quit, I think this quote from Pressfield would be good to remember. Him and his co-writer had finally gotten a screenplay made into a movie, only for it to critically flop. While Pressfield was initially heartbroken and consumed with despair, he shares how his co-writer brought him back. My friend Tony Keppelman snapped me out of it by asking if I was going to quit. Hell no. Then be happy. You're where you want to be, aren't you? So you're taking a few blows. That's the price for being in the arena and not on the sidelines. When constantly trying to improve and setting new goals for yourself, it can be easy to lose perspective on where you've come from. While it's great to push yourself to improve to new heights, sometimes it's good to recognize that you're going to mess up a lot before you get better, and just having the will to try again has its own merit. So how are you supposed to fight back against resistance? Pressfield claims that resistance is fueled by fear and uses our own beliefs against us. The stronger we believe our obstacles are, the stronger they get. This statement helped me break the illusion a little bit. It's like the scene out of Fight Club where we're the ones holding the gun to ourselves. One technique that I like to use is reminding myself that my emotions aren't always accurate, and to stay objective about reality. Take getting 4-stocked for example. Getting 4-stocked in a set has a high potential to throw someone off their game. It's easy to think in that moment how much better your opponent must be, and that the game is essentially decided. The truth is though, high damage combos and 0 to deaths happen all the time in Melee, and sometimes your opponent will string 4 of them together, back to back, for a single game. Leffen was 4-stocked by Armada on Game 4 at Beast, and went on to take his first tournament over the Peach main the very next game. It's this same mindset that lends itself to clutch moments when you're down in stocks and need to make a comeback as well.
Oh my god!
Similarly, getting upset in bracket and having a bad tourney can make resistance start to creep in. In September of 2019, Mango got 13th at main stage, losing to Army and getting eliminated by Lucky, who statistically Mango should always beat. A month later, he went on to beat HBox, Leffen, and Zane twice to take Big House 9. This mental fortitude to move past their low moments is just one thing that gives top players their longevity. If you can be forgiving of your gameplay when you mess up and get through enough of your low moments, you might just find yourself actually reaching that legendary tourney run one day.
Zane! And Zane takes Genesis!
Being aware and in control of your emotional state is important for everyone, and especially those who take competition seriously. I encourage anyone who struggled with this topic to check out The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. A lot of what was referenced outside the book came from conclusions I've come to myself, and it's something I'm still learning to be better at every day. If you know something I missed that you think would be helpful, let me know below. If you're someone who gets down on yourself after a bad tourney, or frustrated in general with competition, I hope this video helps you to keep trying or at least give you something to think about. Thanks for watching.